For this set, it looks like blue is gonna have a lot of draw power. Today we're gonna be playing, but we're not gonna be playing. There's no game being played today, and today we're gonna be talking about the blue release. In this case, being Ultra Instinct, Son Goku, and his deck list, right? I do think it's rather unfortunate that they are kind of pseudo leader locking these cards by adding them in different colors, so you can't play this UI with other like previous Tournament of Power cards, like the red 6-cost UI that was like really good when it came out. You know, as the environment changes, it's not going to be the same as it was before. But anyways, at the very least, it's kind of like a reset in terms of what the cards can do, and at the very least, we also have the Caulifla cards that came out with the previous set that we can also use with the Universe trait. A lot of them are also leader locked to Tournament of Power, so that can work well with this UI. Anyways, let's not stall any further. Let's actually get to talking about this leader. It is very similar. It is actually a one-for-one copy with the exception of the Universe trait of Omega Shenron, which is that he draws a card when attacking, and he can flip it 6 or less if you have 7 or more cards of Universe in the special traits in your drop. That Universe trait, I am almost 100% certain that it just includes any type of Universe. Universe is a separate trait. There are cards with just Universe. I'll actually pull it up right now and spoil a little bit. This is one of the best cards in the entire set for this deck. And it's this Grand Priest. This card is Universe, right? This one is just Universe. However, any other card that's from an actual universe, like this Goku, is from Universe 7, right? So I'm pretty sure that this Universe trait does not count to the trait Universe, but is actually to just any card that includes Universe, despite it not saying it. But we'll actually see when the set comes out. I mean, it would have to be, because, like, what would the Universe cards be? Grand Priest, Zeno, anything else like that? Yeah, so this card just works exactly like Omega Shenron until flipped, and then, you know, he flips, it becomes UI. When attacking, you draw a card, and then an auto ability. Notice that it does not say once per turn. When you discard a card from your hand using the skill of a card with Evolve or with Tournament of Power and special traits, you draw a card for each card discarded. So you're essentially, the brunt of the discard is going to your deck rather than your hand, which is very important, especially since, as we'll see as we keep going throughout this video, this deck is basically impossible to deck out with, right? Even if it was, we could also like tech in the Super Saiyan Vegito secret rare, but you know, we'll see as we go on that this deck is going to be able to do a lot of sending back to the bottom of the deck. Very similar, again, to Omega Shenron. This card will be able to draw a massive amount of cards without really being able to deck out. Looking at the alternate arts, very similar to Gogeta, the 1-star art is my favorite. I really like the little battle scene that they have here with Jiren. And this UI just kind of doing the motionless Kamehameha, I think is really, really nice. The front side of the double star is pretty good, but when you flip and the gold, this looks nice. I'm not gonna deny this actually looks really good. I don't usually like it, but again, the gold foil really just makes it a little bit too extra for my liking, and it makes it really hard to see. But this is a very good art. This is a very good art. Do I like it more than the? I think I do like it actually more than the front side. That I'm looking at it a little bit better, a little bit different from Gogeta. My favorite is definitely still this. So it'd be 1-star, 2-star, and then the no-star regular leader. That would be the order that I would pick in terms of preference. This Caulifla is meant to be I guess not a replacement, but an alternate tech from the Kale that fuses into Kefla with Caulifla. On unplay, you draw a card, and then you place 1 Kale, cost 4 from this card in your battle area to the owner's drop, and then there's Caulifla, you play off to 1 Kefla, it costs a 5. This is meant to obviously be a replacement to the other Caulifla that we have that fuses with the Kale. The difference is that this one draws a card as a Self-Awakening. It's a 10k, and it just has 5 less attack power. Which matters because then it can't swing into awakened leaders, which you want to do with Caulifla when you're awakened. I still think that overall this Caulifla will still be better than the other one, because if you draw a 10k, all you do is just put that 10k into the attack, and then this card becomes 25. Or you can choose, of course, not to swing with it, And if your opponent is playing different cards that rest themselves, like for example the very good Chilai that we're getting for red, this card can get its swing and draw the card anyway because it can get value through that means. So overall, I think this card is definitely better than the other Caulifla. But again, I do like cards that have like benefits and negatives compared to other cards. They're not an instant run no matter what. Though this one I think would be better in basically every situation. So I think this is an instant replace. Here we have a Kefla that we can play either with Caulifla or with the new Son Goku. And then you discard a card if your leader has Tournament of Power, you switch this battle card to active mode. So it swings twice, essentially. For UI, it's really good because this card discards a card, then with leader ability, you draw it back. So it essentially scries a card and then switches it back to active mode at no negative, right? But with Caulifla, it's worse, right, than at least a double strike. Because this can help you buff this if you were to buff cards, which I don't think we have a card that does. We have a 1-drop that KO that buffs Caulifla, but I don't think we have any cards that can buff this Kefla. But if we did, it'd be better to buff this and then, you know, give it some power to then be able to swing twice with it. But being able to swing twice for 30 instead of having one big double strike is usually worse, especially since the double strike buffs itself to basically like a 50k swing instead of this double 30. It's a little bit unfortunate that this card is just straight up worse. At least it's a 10k and it would be nice to run, but I don't see us running this much in Caulifla anyway. She just doesn't need it. So we got this 17. This is very rare. This is a 1 KO card that actually looks good. It's a blocker, of course. And when you KO it, you discard a card, and then you place the top 2 from your deck to the drop, and then you draw a card. So you do want to run this in UI. It works very similar to the Smoke Dragon. Again, from Omega Shenron. This card essentially discards a card, which means you're getting 1 card to your drop, then it places top 2 to your deck to your drop, which gets you 3. Then this card goes to your drop and you get 4, and then you draw a card on top of it all. So you're going to be using this on your Awakening turn. I mean, you're going to obviously do this after you're awakened to just have a blocker, which would be very nice, especially with cards like against like green or something that can benefit from KO effects, because they'll have very few cards that can get the drop. The problem with this card is that it becomes basically useless if your opponent is able to ignore the KO effect, something like Giran and Mirror Blue. What else? I mean, they could also send it back to hand with black. They could also minus it in red. There are a lot of ways to get around this, but if you can get the KO effect to work, it can work even better than the Smoke Dragon from Omega Shenron, because it technically gives you more bang for your buck, because it discards a card and then gives you 2 top cards, as I mentioned before, and then it gets a total of 4, which the Smoke Dragon draws you a card and then gets the rest to drop, which is just 2. And then the Smoke Dragon kills itself and gives you 3. When you're awakened, this draws 2 cards instead of just drawing 1, so it's very nice to have. I do like it because it's a very good card, but it's very easy to counter. That's what I'm trying to say. That's the overall summary of this card. Now we got the super combo. As always, the 17 is gonna mog it like massively. It's nice to get Tournament of Power, Universe 7, and Android traded super combos. We already had an Android traded super combo. But it's nice to have, obviously, more of these that have different traits. Off the top of my head, I don't know if there's anything that's going to be able to synergize with this in blue. But it's nice to have different super combos, and of course, this art looks amazing. The only thing that looks a little bit weird is this Shenron that looks like he's a JPEG. This Zeno is not great. You place all cards in the battle area cost 1 or less other than Zeno at the bottom of the deck in a random order. This works like a baby version of the 6 cost Zeno. And you also gotta remember that it places all battle cards, which means that it's every battle card, including the ones in your field, cost 1 or less, into the bottom. Not very great, because we already have cards that do this. Don't know if you know what I'm gonna mention, but it's gonna sound familiar. Whirlwind Spin from Omega Shenron already does this. It gives you plus 20k, and then bottoms all 1 costing your opponent's field, not including yours. So it just ends up being better, especially when you consider that you can discard one of your cards to play it for free. Even if you're playing it on a deck that isn't Omega Shenron, you're not running a lot of Shadow Dragons, itself counts. So if you have 2 Whirlwind Spins in your hand, you can discard one of them and then play the other one for free. Aside from that, even if you ignore all of that, Whirlwind Spin is already a 2 cost. So you can use it both on offense and defense, aside from this Zeno. And it gives you 20k power instead of the 10k that it would use to combo off, because you're not really going to play this and then swing. You're going to use this and then combo off. So it ends up being way worse than the Whirlwind Spin, and you're not going to see this really played ever. The only way you would ever play this is if, again, the Universe trait was an actual trait that you needed to do instead of just being in a Universe card. But it is a Universe card, so you might want to run this to increase the hit rate of your UI and make the deck full of Universe cards. This Zeno is fantastic. It is single-handedly going to revive a lot of blue decks, especially those that send to drop and don't have a lot of removal. I'm looking at you, Ultimate Gohan. Ultimate Gohan gets a lot of draw power, but he really struggles in addressing the opponent's board because he doesn't have any good removal bodies. He has the 4-cost SR Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks at bottoms of 3 costs to place in top 2. He has the Hercule City Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, or Great Saiyan Man in this case. And then you also have the Vegito that sends 1 card unconditionally to the hand. So Gohan doesn't have a lot of removal. He can use the Gotenks, the new Gotenks extras that he can play for 1 after discarding, but it's very taxing on his hand. This Zeno is going to completely override that because, number 1, well, I guess let's talk about what the actual Zeno does first before we get into talking about anything too crazy. The on-play effect, if you leader's Tournament of Power, look at the 2 cards in the top of your deck and add up to 1 to your hand and then place the rest in the drop. Notice that there's no condition to this. It can be any card in the game, and it places the other one in your drop, so it helps you awaken faster if you're playing Goku. Though I wouldn't recommend you playing this early because you want to keep as many of these for the 1 attacking effect, because you can't replay this, right? Anyways, when you attack, tap an energy, and then you place 12 cards from your drop to the bottom of your deck. If attacking a battle card with cost 6 or less, place that card at the bottom of the owner's deck, right? So this is going to be amazing, fantastic, unparalleled removal. For 2 energy, you're removing a 6 cost, which is insane. This is, again, going to really help out Ultimate Gohan. Doesn't have a lot of removal, and since Gohan is a deck that removes a lot of cards to drop, then you'll be able to restand it, and you'll be able to deck out much less, and you won't have to rely on the Secret Rare Vegito to save you when you deck out. You do not want to play this early game, because again, you want to keep as many copies as possible for the 1 attacking effect, because you cannot re-get this after you play it. So your opponent can then address it, and then it's gone for your deck basically forever if it gets sent to drop. It's obviously amazing, but you don't want to use it early game to take advantage of its on-play effect. Or if you're playing it on UI or Caulifla, it replaces itself. So it gives you a lot of bang for your buck. And it's obviously going to help out with decks like Vegito, who want to discard, because as long as you awaken, you basically can use its place 12 cards instantly. Now with Vegito, it's going to be a little bit trickier, because Vegito wants to be at 20 or more cards in drop, and this is going to actively stop you from doing that. But since Vegito doesn't struggle to get cards to drop anyway, you still will be taking benefit of this ability, especially when you consider the insane effect that it has. Like, this card is just insane for a lot of blue decks. It's actually crazy. Now, moving on to the alt art. Looking at it initially, the first art obviously looks much better because it's the ink art, and I like the ink art more. But considering that it's Zeno and he's supposed to look like this, like the claymation art style, it really suits him. So I think I will take this art. This art is, the other art's just better. I'll take the other art, but the claymation art is more thematic, if that makes any sense. There's a support for Vegito. You place the top 3 into the owner's drop. Leader's Vegito, add up to 1 blue extra with a cost of 3 or less from your drop to your hand, and then you can active main. You place this card in a battle area and Vegito from your drop at the bottom of the owner's deck, and then your leader gets plus 10k. This is not great support for Vegito. The only real convenient extra that you're going to pick up with Vegito is going to be Piercing Sword of Light, which you're not really going to be playing late game. Obviously, the extra you're supposed to be picking up with this is going to be the See Ya extra. Vegito is long past the days where you're trying to play that extra in Vegito. You can still play it, of course, and you can still get the combo to get Double Strike and try to close that game. But the problem with that is that it's a very bad extra because it just makes your Goku a Double Strike, and that's about it. And it bottoms 1 cost for 3 energy. Like, it just ends up not being worth it in a lot of situations, especially with power creep. It just really fell behind. And the active main effect is even worse because you're adding 10k power to a 40k leader, so your opponent is basically taking it anyway almost every single time. So I mean, like, what's even the point anymore? This will, however, despite it being leader lots of Vegeta to pick up the extra, can be played on Gohan, and Gohan wants to play this a lot because, you know, Gohan getting buffed to 10k matters a lot. And placing the top 3 cards can help set up for Zeno, as well as getting other cards to be able to, you know, activate the effect. Bottoming the cards as well is important because Gohan can deck out very easily with all the draw power and the discard to drop, so getting this to the bottom is also very nice. So this is going to help out Gohan a lot. Additionally, in case you need even more reasons to run this on Gohan, it's a Saiyan card, and it's a different name than the cards you would run on it normally. So you can use this with great made it just in time or with overwhelming confidence to be able to play it out from your drop as well. So this card ends up being fantastic for the Gohan deck. It's very, very good. Now let's talk about this Son Goku. This is going to be the main target for your evolution line. You play this for 2 energy and then you discard a card. And then you place the top card of your deck and you drop and you draw a card. This is meant to be used with your UI Goku's leader ability, in the sense that you're supposed to discard the card and then get it back and then draw a card. So you're essentially going up on a card in hand size, which is very important on an evolved card. Now this Son Goku is very similar to a Goku that we already have in the game, which is the End of Z Goku that force self-awakens and then places top 3. In every other deck, it's not going to be worth it to run this Goku. It's better to run the End of Z Goku. But at the very least with this Goku, it's a universe card, and you can use it in line with all the other cards as well as evolve it with the UI that we're going to be talking about in a couple of seconds. This Son Goku is amazing for the UI deck. When you would pay the cost of this card, you may discard a card, turn into power and special traits, and then switch 2 energy to Erasmus instead. So you're essentially paying 2 less energy for this card by discarding a card, similar to other leader effects in the game. And you activate, you discard a card, and then it gets 10k power for the turn. So you're essentially meant to be awakened and then play this for 2 for free, and then swing for 35k for free. So it ends up being a fantastic card that you can just like kind of slam into basically every other deck. And if I'm not mistaken, you can evolve into. We'll see the evolution line and we'll come back to this. But just even standalone, this is an amazing card that you want to run 4 of in like the UI deck, and it's a rare too. So it's like, whew, it's amazing. It's a fantastic card. This is the alt art. I think it looks very nice. Oddly, not very common, but better than the regular art. Now, let me see. Tournament of Power Son Goku. And if we go back and check, this is Tournament of Power Son Goku. Okay, so you can evolve this card. Oh no, this is an evolved card. This is a different card. Sorry, I almost missed it. Okay, so this is a different card than the other one. Oh no, this is... Okay, sorry, I got confused. This is a alt art of the UI Goku that's this one. This is not an alt art for the Kaioken Goku. But now we can go back and check to the regular Kaioken Goku. This is a Tournament of Power Son Goku, right? So you can use this to evolve, and since you can use it to evolve this Son Goku, this can power itself up to a 10k, and power up effects apply to the card that they're evolving to. So if you use the discard effect, you're not actually discarding a card because you're getting it back immediately. This card becomes a 40k. And when we talk about the SRUI, that SRUI is going to be a 50k double swing. So, you know, it's going to get really crazy from there. Anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself. This is an evolved card on a Son Goku. You can play this for 3 energy with the other 2 cost Son Goku. And then when attacking, you discard a card from your hand and you place the top 2 of the deck in your honor drop, and then you draw a card. So essentially what you're doing is you're going to be drawing 2 cards on swing every single time. This UI gets you a bunch of draw value. It's very similar to the promo Broly 5 cost 30k. In terms that it draws you a card, except this draws you a card not only every single turn, but it's also like way better because you can evolve it and not have to play it on 5. Right, so this plays for like a bunch like cheaper. So it ends up being like leagues and bounds above the other cards, right? Do I prefer this art or this art? It's a little bit of an unfair comparison because this one's Kaioken and this one is UI, which makes it weird. But push comes to shove, I probably like this one. Now we got this UI that I was talking about earlier. This is an amazing card. This is another Tournament of Power Son Goku, so you can evolve this with the Kaioken that we were talking about earlier. Active main once per battle, or I guess active battle once per turn, sorry. Plays top 4 cards from your drop at the bottom of the owner's deck. Switch this battle card in battle area to switch your card in battle to this card. What? Hold on. I'm sorry. Let me read that one again. I stuttered. Place 4 cards from your drop at the bottom of the owner's deck in a random order. Switch your card in battle to this card in a battle area. I'm unsure what that means. Does it mean that it just jumps from another card and it basically like evolves any other thing? If you can get power-ups, that'd be great. I'm not exactly sure how this mechanic works. Before I comment on it, I'd like to see it in the client so I can get like a better opinion. But what it seems like, I said, it's just gonna just bounce and get like, it's gonna be basically a pseudo evolve. If that's the case, it should also restand itself, though I'm not exactly sure if that's the case. It's active battle, so I'm assuming it is. But if it does, it's a little worse than active main. Switch it to active mode, because you can rest it. Since it's an active battle effect, you can rest it in your opponent's turn with Health Rakshasa or something, which is important to I mean, it's not going to be common, of course, but it's important to mention that you can rest it on the opponent's turn you're fighting against something like yellow. But yeah, aside from that, nothing too extraordinary here. I say not extraordinary, but it's a really good card, especially since you consider that it prevents the deck out with placing top 4, which ends up being more of a bonus condition. Like it's a benefit to you rather than it being a negative. But yeah, it's a very good card, and you can also power it up with the other Tournament of Power Son Goku, and then make it a 50k. And it can swing twice. It can swing twice for 50k. That'd be insane. This alt art looks really nice. I mean, this art's still very nice. I still prefer this art more. I'm sorry. This art actually looks good. It's odd for a claymation art to look good, but this one actually looks pretty good. But anyways, you can have multiple different evolution lines for that. You can either power it up to be plus 10, or you can draw 2 cards instead, which is very nice for evolution cards to be able to evolve into cards that replace themselves, similar to Trunks. But yeah. Talking about this Grand Priest, this is like an instant 4 of in every single UI deck. A very simple effect. It's placed top 3 at the bottom of the owner's drop. So you're going to be playing 4 copies of this in order to be able to awaken your leader as fast as humanly possible. And since it's a universe card, you can also combo it off and get 4 for the price of 1. Right, so but essentially, if you top deck 3 universe cards, it does the same value as the 17, except you don't have to KO it to activate its effect, which is very, very nice. This hit is supposed to support Caulifla, but you can also use it on UI. This is a Self-Awakener, and then active main. Place this card in battle area to the owner's drop, and then you leader's Tournament of Power. You play a hit with cost 3 from your hand. Right, the main target for this is obviously going to be the Caulifla hit, though you can also play that hit from Caulifla in UI as well, because its effect is discard a card and then draw a card, and that activates with Goku's leader ability very well. Card that you discard, you're going to get it back, so you're essentially drawing a card and then getting another card back, so it gets you 2 cards worth of draw value. So you can still play that UI. I still don't think this card is worth it to play it off of that, because the hit is just going to be essentially a 3-cost vanilla after it already drew its card. So it's not worth it to discard a card just to play it a turn earlier. But it's a cool tech card to be able to play. There's a Frieza, discard a card from your hand, add up to 1 Son Goku, it costs 2 for your drop to your hand. This is very nice because if your leader is awakened, you can discard a Son Goku with this effect, and then you can draw the card from your leader effect and then draw the Goku back, of course, and then it basically gets like infinite value. So it gives you a lot of draw power, and it basically gets you minus nothing in hand size. As a matter of fact, it adds to your hand size. This Vegeta is going to be supporting Vegito, mainly, but you can use this in most of every blue deck, as long as you have the 20 or more card condition. Especially, again, we're going to talk about later, Ultimate Gohan, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. If you have 20 more cards in your drop, your opponent can't activate blocker. Place the top 3 cards of your deck into the owner's drop if your leader is Vegito. Choose it to 1 battle card, cost 1 or less, and then put it at the bottom of the owner's deck. The on-play effect isn't amazing, but the permanent effect is amazing, you know what I mean? The bottom one is nice, but Vegito already will be playing something like Giran to already bottom at cost instead of bottoming with 1 less cost, though the fact that it bottoms at 1 cost is very nice. Though, important to mention, Vegito doesn't play a lot of
minus cost cards. So this is basically just going to be bottoming a 1 cost or less, and that's about it. Though you can, of course, you know, combine it with cards like 1-drop mine to minus the cards and be able to minus something better. You're typically never going to be seeing that. Though, of course, this card is great because it basically completely shuts down yellow Majin Buu by not letting them activate his blocker effects even if they restands them. Obviously, yellow's going to be able to address it by resting it on their attacking turn, but, I mean, you can basically shut down all their blockers and not be able to play them. This, again, obviously synergizes with the Gohan because this is a Saiyan card that you can play off of Great Mid just in time, and it's a 2-cost unique name card. Now, even in my own Ultimate Gohan deck list, and I don't know if I'll put it up on screen, but in my own Gohan deck list, I'm running Critical Base Vegeta, the Self-Awakener one. Number 1, because it Self-Awakens Gohan, which allows him to be more aggressive. Number 2, it's a critter. And number 3, it's a Saiyan card, that it's a unique name for anything else you're running in the deck, which allows you to play it off of Great Mid just in time with like a 4-cost Gotenks. This Vegeta would essentially replace that Vegeta, because it gets you the top 3 cards, which essentially makes you be better. I guess it won't activate the bottom effect, but the place top 3 effect would be very nice for the Gohan deck, and it's very convenient with the you can activate blocker. It'd be a very nice tech card for him. Right, so it's very nice to have cards that can be played on multiple decks, though it's supposed to help Vegito more. Vanilla, standard tournament power card, very nice to get different traded vanilla cards, especially if this is a 2-cost Vegeta. Play this card from your hand, place the top 2 cards in the owner's drop, choose 1 battle card, and reduce its cost by 1. This is a very nice card. This is essentially going to be replacing your Giran that you're probably going to be playing in the deck. Or anything else that bottoms a card, especially the Zeno. The Zeno bottoms a 6 cost, but if your opponent plays a 7 cost, like the Triple Strike for Shenron, you can play this card and then play the Zeno, and then for 4 energy, you remove the 7 cost, while also, you know, drawing back your cards. You should basically only do this when you're awakened to get your card drawback. This is a different Vegeta. We're starting with the alt. I hate it when they start with the alt arts. Discard a card from your hand, add up to 1 card from your life to your hand, and look at top 3, and then reveal 1 tournament power card, and then add the rest of the drop, right? So this is essentially going to be an early game card. I wouldn't recommend playing an early game because it discards a card, and then you won't be able to get it back with leader ability. But it's nice because it, you know, looks at cards and adds it to drop, very similar to the, there's a Shenron that's green color that I keep forgetting what it is, like not green, the color for the card, but green. Like is an actual green Shenron. But I don't remember his name, but he does something very similar. But aside from that, this actually does something very similar to, again, Smoke Shenron, which is just looks at top 3 and then reveals 1 and then places the rest to drop, which is very nice for Awakening. Though, again, I wouldn't recommend Awakening with this because this Vegeta discards a card. But it's obviously going to be able to be evolved with the other Vegeta, which we're going to talk about right now. This evolves a tournament power Vegeta. There's an amazing card. You discard 2 cards from your hand, and then you choose 2 battle cards, cost 4 or less in your opponent's battle area, place at the bottom of the owner's deck in the random order, and then draw a card. This is a way better version of Sickle. I mean, Sickle is obviously 3 costs, but number 1, Sickle is an extra, not a body, so it doesn't swing for 35k. You can evolve it, so you can play it for basically the same amount of costs, and you're discarding cards, and you're scrying them, and then you're drawing a card because your your leader ability is going to make it so that the 2 discards don't really matter. So you're essentially just drawing a card with this. So you're essentially using Sickle and then drawing a card with 35k body. So this ends up being very nice. And if there's a 5 cost on board, you can use the other Vegeta to be able to minus it by 1 and then be able to, of course, bottom it instead of having to address it. We also got this Vegeta. I actually like this alt art more than the other one, despite it being the claymation. This one looks nice, of course, but the final flash and the expressions make it look really good. We got some more Vegito support. Discard 1 card from your hand, and then place this battle card from a battle. Hold on. You pay an energy. I'm gonna get a headache. Discard 1 card from your hand and place this card from a battle area at the bottom of the owner's deck. If you have 20 or more cards in your drop, play up to 1 Son Goku with cost of 3 and 1 Vegeta with a cost of 2 from your drop. This is of course supposed to be made Vegito support, though you can also play this in Gohan, because in Gohan, what you do is you play Overwhelming Confidence, which is a 3 cost when you discard a card, and then for the same price of playing this Vegito raw, You play it from your drop, and then you untap the energy, and then you discard a card from your hand, and then you can play the 2 Son Goku and the Vegeta. Though I don't think you're going to be playing it on curve, because you're going to need, again, a bunch of cards in your drop in order to play this. But it is obviously meant to be done with the combination of the CU, SR Goku, SR Vegeta combo. Again, that combo has been long since dead. Ever since it initially released. It was new when it came out, and it was okay to do, but I mean, like, right now it's not a great combo. But I mean, you can still run it, but I mean, it's not going to be great. Anyways, moving on to the extras from this deck. You discard a card from your hand, and then you get plus 15k. Very similar to World Savior on Vegito. This is going to be an instant 4 of in every UI deck, because once you're awakened, this card effect is essentially free. As well as discarding cards from your hand, which also lets you, I wouldn't say deck out, but get cards from your deck out a lot faster, right? This is essentially going to help you meet in-drop conditions, more specifically the 1-drop Senno that we saw in this set. We also got this Pride and Trusted Vegeta. You discard 1 Vegeta with tournament power from your hand, and then place 2 cards from your deck to the owner's drop, and you choose Son Goku with tournament power, and you switch it to active mode. This is an amazing extra card, because if you're well, I guess you do need a lot of stood energy, but if you have 6 energy, you play the 2-cost Goku. It can be either the tournament of power one, or I guess you would prefer to have the tournament of power discard, play it for cheaper. You're talking about the Kaioken Goku. I'll pull it up right now, so I'm not talking about fictional cards that, you know, I'm explaining poorly. I'm talking about this Goku. This Goku you play out for 2, then you discard a card, you get it to 10, and then you evolve it into this Goku for 3 energy. Or I guess for 3 total energy. Then you can attack with it for 40, and then since it has an attacking effect, you discard a card and then you draw a card, which is, you know, scrying a card and then drawing a card, so it gives you 1 card total worth of value. Then you use this Pride and Trusted, you discard a Vegeta with the Tournament of Power, which gets itself back because, you know, it's a Tournament of Power card and the UI can pick it back up. Then you can choose the Son Goku with Tournament of Power, which is the Evolve UI, which we just talked about. And then it gets the 1 attacking effect again, as well as swinging for 40k because it got the 10k from this Goku. So you're drawing 2 cards and then swinging twice for 40. That is insane worth value, right? And you're essentially going nothing in terms of minusing your hand, because these cards replace themselves multiple times, so it ends up being very good. But that's it for the deck. Final impressions, things I'd like to mention. This looks like it's gonna be a very, very, very good deck. Its main power is gonna be from draw value, which is very important in this environment, because you're gonna be, in order to survive, you're gonna have to basically do something that your opponent can address, and your draw value is something your opponent can address. So you're just going to be able to draw a bunch of cards, play a bunch of early stuff, and basically outdraw your opponent. And since this deck basically can't deck out because of multiple cards that send cards to the bottom, very, very good and healthy for this environment. If I had to give it a rating, I give it a 9 out of 10. Should I give it a 10 out of 10? This really looks like a 10 out of 10 deck. Like, what's even its weakness? Dying? Yeah, it's dying, dude. Surely. With the extra, like, it's just simply not going to happen. I mean, I want to leave some leeway in terms of, like, best of the best decks, so I'll just give it a 9 out of 10. I'm feeling 10 out of 10, but just to give other decks more leeway, I'll give it a 9 out of 10. It's an amazing deck. It's borderline unbeatable, right? Its draw power and its attack power is unprecedented. But anyways, nothing else. I'm really liking this UI. I'm a really big fan. I'm very excited to play it. And next we'll be talking about the green release.